Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Regional Government and Housing Podcast with me, Kishore Gendron. I'm delighted to have with me today Zane Freame, who's the Modern Workplace Lead for Regional Government and Housing at Microsoft. Zane, welcome to the podcast. Please could you introduce yourself briefly for our viewers?
Brilliant. Thanks for having me. I've kind of done my introduction for me. Thank you very much. But you'll hear an Aussie accent, but I've lived in the UK for 15 years and I'm here to help our customers in local government and housing, as they digitally transform. And modern work, for those who don't know, is Microsoft 365 and Surface in terms of products. So I lead a team that are out helping customers deploy and adopt that technology.
Thank you, Zane. So Zane, I'd like to start off with Microsoft 365. So you mentioned 365 and Surface. Let's start off with 365. So Microsoft 365, as many viewers will know, is a suite of solutions which offers customers a variety of workloads, from traditional productivity workloads as well as security and compliance solutions to bolster defenses. I would like to go a little bit in deeper on the security components of the 365 suite. So Microsoft has a vast experience in investments in security. We spend over $1 billion a year in our security investments. And we're also considered as leaders in many of the security solutions from the E5 suite specifically. I would like to start off by asking, why should customers consider utilizing Microsoft security suite of solutions versus traditional competitors that we see in the marketplace?
Sure, thanks, Kishore. Look, when I think about this year and previous years and the journey that Microsoft's been on, when I joined Microsoft, I think we obviously had a place to play in security, but it has been a huge area of investment. From where we've come to, from where we've been to where we've come to is quite a transition. In fact, even 5 years ago, I remember reading a book called Future Crimes. It was by Mark Goodman. I don't know if you've read it, but it was a sobering picture of the types of risks that came with modern technology. And I was talking about, as technology changes, what type of threats will exist. And what's been staggering is to see how many of those have come to fruition. And like in response to COVID-19, we've seen organizations rapidly adopting Office 365 and Microsoft Teams in particular to enable remote working. And look, we've seen, as Satya Nadella talks about, 2 years of digital transformation in 2 months. So what that's seen is a whole lot of organizations changing the way that they're working and now thinking about, how do I change my security posture to adapt to that change? And increasingly we're seeing real challenges in the industry. There's a shortage of resources and skills in cybersecurity. There's a growing amount of security noise that's being generated by all of these different security products, and the impact that they're having on device performance and these types of things. And we're seeing an increased cybersecurity threat targeted at these new ways of working. And so we believe at Microsoft that the security and the tools that we're developing need to be interconnected. So they need to be communicating those signals and reducing that noise for the security operations teams. And they need to have a level of automation around how they protect, detect, and respond to take some of that pressure off the lack of resource and skills available. And, I think Microsoft is in this incredible position to actually have more, and I'll go into this in a lot more detail if you want to, around signals, from our existing services across our commercial business and our consumer business, right? And we're seeing an increase in the determination and sophistication of the nation state attacks. We're seeing privatization of cybersecurity attacks, which was something actually in the book Future Crimes that they talked about, which was, you can actually go out and pay for mercenary-like attackers, to in great numbers to use botnets to attack a particular organization, as an example. And we're seeing that now. And if you look at COVID-19 itself, this has been an increased focus of attack, whether they're, adversaries are using COVID-19 language and their sort of phishing techniques, or whether they're just taking advantage of the new ways people are working from home. So the security landscape has changed. Microsoft is just positioned as a cloud vendor with security built in, not bolted on. And I think we're now considered a security vendor, and I think our customers are starting to appreciate that strategy is right for the future.
And it's a very interesting comment you make there, Zane, in the conclusion, which is customers starting to recognize Microsoft as a strategic security partner. Now, I would like to dive into that question a little bit deeper. So many of our customers are wary of putting all their eggs in a single basket, especially in the topic of security. What advice would you give to customers who are concerned about putting all their eggs into one basket, especially utilizing Microsoft Security Suite of solutions?
Yeah, look, I totally appreciate that perspective and the concern that might come from that. But if I think about a couple of things, firstly, if you have a whole range of best-in-breed products, and that was often a strategy that people have adopted, security is important, so they go out and buy the best of this capability and the best of this capability, and then they end up with a whole load of siloed signals that aren't integrated, that aren't talking together, and then what happens is the security teams are overwhelmed or don't spot the real risk in those signals and noise. So that's one thing. How do you get all of this integrated? And you can do it, but it's very expensive. There's often gaps and overlaps, and so building these products and solutions for security to be integrated is a key foundation of what we're doing. And secondly, I think Microsoft's come a long way from being seen as not best in breed. Now, if we look at Gartner, for example, we're a leader in 5 of the Magic Quadrant reports. So access management, cloud access, security brokers, enterprise information archiving, endpoint protection platforms, and unified endpoint management. So these are 5 key areas around security that organizations are looking for, and we're in the leader quadrant for all of them. So now you kind of got best of breed and best of suite. And if I look at, you can find reports from Gartner and the likes and other advisories talking about this strategy of a unified security suite is actually the future. And so, that's where we've aligned our strategy. And I'd encourage people who are concerned about this to engage with Microsoft, to learn more about it and think about the advances they can get in their security posture through this approach.
Thank you, Zane. And just taking a look more specifically with regional governments and housing customers. So since the COVID-19 pandemic started, organizations, especially in the public sector, have transformed at an incredible pace. I think you mentioned 2 years of digital transformation happening in a few months' time, the quote from Satya Nadella. With that pace of transformation and with the amount of people working from home, we have seen a lot of increases, especially when it comes to cyber attacks and ransomware attacks within our sector, in the regional government and housing sectors. What guidance would you provide to customers who have the relevant capability that they've purchased, whether that's part of a security and compliance package or as part of our E5 and EMS suites of solutions, but they haven't yet deployed those solutions, as examples, Azure Information Protection or Defender 365. What advice would you give to those customers who have made the investments but haven't actually implemented to get the benefits of those security components?
Really good question. And look, at Microsoft, we really care and want to see our customers, our organizations getting value out of what they purchased, right, from Microsoft technology. And if in government, if I was to give you a statistic, government's counting for 18% of the total targeted cyber attacks in 2020. So we know, and we're hearing consistently about the growing threat that is posed to employees and government organizations. And so in that landscape, really making sure that you've got the best security posture possible with what you currently have at your disposal is paramount. I strongly recommend that customers take 3 steps. Number one is, if you haven't already done so, look at Microsoft Secure Score. So this is a tool available to Office 365 and Microsoft 365 customers that can allow you to check your security posture, and it'll make recommendations about products that you could enable to reduce the risk. That's the first sort of step. I think that gives you a baseline of what you have available. It's entirely on you own these products. Here's how you turn them on, and here's the impact and benefit from a security perspective. And you can even compare yourself to say, hey, how is our organization compared to other government organizations? So that's step one. Step two is to start thinking about security, or to consider thinking about security in a zero trust approach. And so this is something Microsoft has done internally, and we advocate for organizations to do as well. So I recommend to go and have a look at Zero Trust. There's a URL. If you go to aka.ms/zero trust, that'll take you to a place where you can read about white papers and also do a self-assessment to understand, the importance and how to move to a zero trust strategy. And then thirdly is I would encourage you to engage with your Microsoft account team to understand, what else is available, even potentially run a security assessment. We're happy to provide that service to help organizations understand what it is they can use to defend themselves and understand their current position.
Thanks, Zane. And I guess customers watching this podcast as well, there are many avenues we can support you in focusing in those areas. We have lots of funding available on security assessments that we can provide based on eligibility. We also have the amazing Microsoft Fast Track team that can help customers deploying and planning for deploying solutions. And we have thousands of expert partners who have carried out various projects multiple times that we're also able to recommend. I think, Zane, from a security perspective, just one final question I would like to focus on. It's just about insider risk management. So insider risk is a key area where many customers feel they do not have the necessary insights to react when unusual behaviors are detected. How can Microsoft help?
Yeah, well, this is an increasingly difficult problem to tackle, right? You can build an incredible security posture for external adversaries, but internally, how can you tell the difference between somebody who is intentionally or unintentionally, creating risk for your business when they need to be on your network, they need to be able to do their job, right? So it's like, how do you spot those signals of what is a risk versus what is normal? And Microsoft's invested a lot of time and resources on this problem. In fact, we built insider risk management as a product for Microsoft. I say product, a solution for Microsoft to understand what types of risks were happening in our environment. Built for the cloud because we live and breathe out and use our own technology. But the important thing to think about here is it's more than just a security problem, right? It is, it's got a HR element, it's got a compliance and legal element. So it's really about how do you all work together? And then on top of that, how do you have tools and insights that can help you understand whether there is something inappropriate or unauthorized or unethical that is going on? And so we built the Insider Risk Management solution, which is part of Microsoft 365, to spot sensitive data being leaked or spilled, to spot violations in confidentiality, IP theft, fraud, insider trading. And we have very advanced algorithms using machine learning to detect what's normal and abnormal and raise and flag those before any damage is done. So, this is a technology we built for ourselves. We're now really pleased to be able to offer it to our customers as a way to manage that insider risk.
Perfect, thank you, Zane. And that insider risk is really key, as you mentioned. This is tried and tested solution, which was built primarily for internal use for Microsoft. And we're now ensuring that technology is made available to our customers to ensure they also get the same benefits. Zane, I'd like to talk about devices and more specifically Surface. So I am a very proud owner of a Surface Laptop 3, and I'm one of these people that always would like to buy the latest hardware as soon as they come to the market, whether that's Surface or any of the devices. And I'm actually looking forward to getting my hands on the Surface Duo as soon as it's launched in the UK. But I guess Surface is loved by many of our customers, not just in the enterprise space, but also in the non-enterprise space as well. And it's not just about good-looking hardware. I mean, the Surface hardware are beautiful compared to some of the other devices, but they're also about high performance and getting the most out of Windows in a secure manner, and security built in right from the silicon level. And I'm extremely excited, as I mentioned, about the Surface Duo, which is going to be launched in early 2021. How can customers take advantage of this new form factor when it does arrive in the UK in early 2021?
Thanks for the question, Kishore. I'm a big Surface fan as well, and I'm looking forward to it. I want to preface this response or answer with the fact that I haven't actually got my hands on one yet. I have people in my team who are Surface specialists who have got early access to devices before I do, and I haven't actually had the opportunity to use one yet, but I'm quite excited about it. And for me, I think about my personal use, and as soon as I saw that product demonstrated with Panos Panay showing it off as well as he does, just that experience of being able to have two screens, right? To be, I'm thinking about this sort of scenario on a Teams call. I could have you a video on one side, and I could have a presentation or my notes on the other side, and I would be still mobile, right? And I think as we come out of COVID, and we are able to, be more remote and mobile in the way that we work, I think this is going to open up a whole range of scenarios for organizations and employees who want to be more productive on the go, right? Reducing the need to have that large, I've got to set up here, second screen and primary device. And some people have three devices, three screens, what have you, but really to have an experience where the apps are being built for two screens and that you can do some incredible things around working between those two screens, Outlook mail on one side and your calendar on the other side, just these native experiences. And what I've seen so far looks really exciting. And I'm looking forward to seeing what our customers can do with this technology, but I just think it's going to enable a whole load of new working habits and experiences. And I just want to call out, just recently, Time Magazine awarded the Surface Duo. You might have been going to mention this, but has awarded as one of the best innovations of 2020, and we're very proud of that award. And we really think that Surface Duo is this incredible intersection between hardware and software in the palm of your hand.
Absolutely, Zane, and we will make sure that our account teams notify all customers watching this podcast who are interested in experiencing this new form factor, new accounts. We'll make sure that your Microsoft account teams are in touch as soon as we are able to get our hands on it in the UK. Also, Zane, I think talking about devices, how do you see devices, especially devices which have built-in LTE chips, changing the way we work in an increasingly mobile world? So I understand right now we're not in a mobile world, we're working from home, but eventually this pandemic, we will get through it, hopefully, if the vaccines are deployed in a timely manner, and we will get back to being mobile, probably even more mobile than we were in the past. How do you see devices with LTE changing the way we work in that increased mobile future?
Yeah, look, as someone who's typically mobile, like, usually driving somewhere or traveling into the office or to visit our customers, I appreciate the value of being always connected, and I think that kind of ability to be always connected to the internet is firstly going to be incredibly productive, and something that I think as we move out into a new normal, we're going to want and need more and more that constant connectivity, which is great for users, right, and for employees to be able to connect securely and do what they need to do at a touch of the button. But it's also great for IT. If you think about this new cloud security posture that we talked about before, IT can really manage and secure and see those signals real time on a device. So there is benefit for the business and IT and reducing risk, and also for the employee who's trying to do real time connectivity to the cloud in a digital way, getting rid of paper, for example, and having a fully connected experience, just like anyone sitting at a desktop. That's the intent.
Absolutely, Zane. And I think a solution such as Defender for Windows, especially endpoint protection, will streamline the delivery of security locally on the device rather than having the centralized management solutions that customers have today, which truly opens up that zero trust networking for customers to open to. And any customers who feel they're not ready, we also have technologies in Azure WAN, for example, which works perfectly with our security stack in the modern workplace to deliver the same level of protection, irrelevant of how the network topology looks like. So Zane, sticking on the devices topic, but I guess moving away from Surface, and focus on MMD. So MMD, the terminology stands for Microsoft Managed Desktop. I think it's game changing and provides an opportunity for our customers to modernize operations, but not only that, to greatly enhance their security posture from an operational perspective. Please could you provide a brief overview of what MMD is for someone who is just hearing that terminology for the first time, and why should customers seriously consider investing in MMD?
Okay, yeah, look, I'm glad we come to this topic because it's one that we're seeing a huge amount of interest in, and I'd love to go into why. So Microsoft Managed Desktop, MMD, is really a solution to address some of the challenges that some I've touched on before, but others around the growing challenges faced by IT. If IT have been asked to do more with less. Well, we've got some data and stats here. So 85% of organizations are looking to digitally transform, 11% are planning on top of that. So it's pretty much everybody is looking to move digitally, as you'd expect. And of those, 90% are also facing tighter budget controls on IT. So, you're asked to totally transform the way that everyone works and support that transition, but with less resources. So, and on top of that, we have a survey that was completed by Morgan Stanley, and in it they were looking at all the different impacts of a project, positive and negative, from COVID-19. And the top two challenges, one of them was outsourcing and the other was consulting. So they were the top two negative impacts of projects. And so what we're here to do is really provide a more agile way of managing and servicing your devices, your endpoints and desktops. And so this is essentially a service that provides employees with a secure and modern experience, but allows for IT to have full control of how they can distribute and roll out updates and devices. So, for example, it improves user device deployment, IT service management, security monitoring response, and also provides user support. So this is where we have Microsoft 365, which includes Office and Windows, a set of productivity tools, and a layer of service that's provided by Microsoft for Microsoft solutions. So essentially the goal is really, we want to have users having a great experience, delivering the best and expert security, and empowering IT to have full control of endpoint. So yeah, we've had some incredible feedback from customers that are already rolling this out, and we've had people are saying, oh, is this tested? Is this really out there? Is this happening? And we actually have, for example, Lloyds Bank fully deployed on MMD, and the feedback from their experience when COVID hit, they were able to actually just ship devices direct from the factory to employees, use autopilot up and running in minutes, without having to actually have anything going to an office to be configured by an IT person. in person. Everything can be done remotely. It aligns perfectly to where we're heading in terms of remote work, and the feedback is really, fantastic. It's really like, how do we provide a service and an experience that users love, but that is also trusted by IT, and that's what Microsoft Managed Desktop is about.
Thanks, Zane. And again, any viewers who are keen to explore MMD, please do reach out to your account teams, especially if you are considering a device refresh in the upcoming months, or you're looking to modernize your operations or provide a better user experience, especially for new starters and when issuing new devices. Please do speak to us about MMD, because we think it's a game changer for your organization, and we would love to showcase the capabilities to you. Zane, I would like to finish off with a final question, and this is related to field-based workers, especially councils and in housing associations. Traditionally, we have not had a focus on field workers, and this is from a customer perspective. However, with the pandemic, we're seeing an increased requirement for field-based employees to be more connected to the wider organization, rather than just having a piece of paper and going out to do site inspections or from a social care perspective. The connected scenario is now really playing out since the COVID pandemic started. How can Microsoft help councils and housing associations to allow them, their field workers, to be better connected to the rest of the organization?
Yeah, a great question. And, we really believe in this, cloud first, interconnected work experience across all employees, right? From your back office to your first line or field workers. And we have enabled or providing a set of capabilities aligned perfectly into those user profiles. Things that can give you both access to Teams, which is pretty critical when you need to be able to connect with your co-workers, but also to be able to move from a paper-based process to a digital process, right? So if you think also, this brings us back to Surface, that always connected LTE 4G experience. If you think about a pen and that pen experience of a field worker, or if it's a smaller form factor, regardless of what device people are using, I really hope it's a Surface. There's a lovely Surface Go and Surface Laptop Go, intended to help these users be productive. Beautiful devices. But what we want to see is that people are able to do their work digitally, but in a secure fashion. And this is again where that built-in security comes into play. So we have options for enabling that productivity, but also securing it with some of the same technologies that we'd have for a knowledge or information worker that we traditionally have provided IT to.
Perfect, Zane. It has been a pleasure to talk to you today, and I hope our viewers will find this interview quite insightful. Certainly I did, especially some of the security examples and background you were providing earlier on. Zane, thank you very much for your time, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today.
Been a pleasure. Thank you, Kishore. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.